parkrun changed my life. Weird, yeah, but that's how I feel about it. And welcome to this first video of mine. Who am I exactly? Well, my name's Chris Farrelly. I am 39 years old, rapidly approaching 40. I live in Coventry in the UK. I'm a web developer. Before we go any further, I guess it's probably important to say that I'm definitely not a fitness expert. Look at me. I am just here on this channel to sort of talk about what I do, how I go about improving my fitness bit by bit, and hopefully provide some inspiration for others out there to do similar. So what am I doing here? So just over a year ago I began a fitness journey, sparked off for multiple reasons. I guess the statistics that some people may be interested in terms of me, I'm around 6 foot tall. When I began my fitness journey I was pushing 20 stone. A year down the line I've dropped to I think I'm currently 17 stone 1, so just over 17 stone. I've dropped 3 stone in a year, which I'm really happy with, proud of. So why did I feel the need to make a change? Primarily, I guess it's a bit of a cliche, but having a family. I wanted to be around for my kids. I want to be able to get involved in active pursuits with them, be that having a little kick around down the park or helping my daughter with her taekwondo training, going out on walks on family holidays, etc. All of that fun stuff. I didn't want to be an out of breath dad who just sat by the sidelines whilst other kids were having fun with their parents, etc. I didn't want that. Equally, I also wanted to provide a positive role model in terms of physical health and fitness for my kids growing up. They're at an age now where they're going to start thinking about their appearance, and they're also taking on a lot more schoolwork and education, and they're going to start to find difficulties in finding a balance, which is, I guess, what I've found difficulties with my whole life. So I want to help them with that. Probably one of the biggest factors in terms of why I felt the absolute need to get out there and begin a genuine fitness journey would have been quality of sleep. When I was at my heaviest, when I was around 20 stone and I was drinking alcohol, etc., I just found that every time I went to bed, even if I had technically been asleep, I would wake up in the morning just feeling absolutely dreadful. And I did a bit of Google doctoring, self-diagnosis, etc., as we all tend to do every now and again. But it didn't really end up with cancer on this occasion, which was weird. But I feel like I was probably developing sleep apnea or something along those lines. So basically I was going to sleep and not sleeping properly, waking myself up probably with snoring, etc., which my wife obviously enjoys as well, and waking up in the morning and having absolutely zero energy, which is rubbish, especially if you've got any ideas about doing any sort of activity in the daytime. It just kind of kiboshes all of that, and it's a vicious circle, a horrible cycle to get stuck in. Number one, you already feel bad because you're overweight, and it just generally drains you physically and mentally to do many or any activities. And then number two, with that poor sleep, you wake up in the morning and you feel like you just don't have the energy to do it. So you've got to fight through that feeling of lethargy, of just a general lack of energy to get out there and maybe do a short walk and come back and feel ridiculous because you may be looking at Instagram, social media, wherever, seeing fitness influencers running marathons and looking like Hollywood superstars when they're finished, and for you it's an absolute effort to walk to the end of the street and back. So the sleep thing was massive for me. I wanted to be able to wake up in the morning and feel energized, and it really was the catalyst for me to get out there do some activity and try and just lose a bit of weight, so I could just gather that momentum in terms of being able to sleep slightly better, wake up with a little bit more energy, and do a few more activities to hopefully lose a little bit more weight, and then snowball it the other way. Whereas obviously previous to that, the snowball had gone in the other direction in terms of the weight. It was just with the poor eating, poor choices at poor times, alcohol, takeaways, etc. It snowballs into 1 or 2 pounds of weight on per week, and then before you know it, you're 20 stone. And it's a lot more effort to lose it than it is to put it on, that's for sure. So what is the plan for the channel? No, I don't have major long-term plans or goals, particularly with the channel for sure, and goals are a thing I try and move away from with fitness as well. More just focusing on consistency and getting the next run in, running the next mile, playing the next football match, whatever it will be. Just try and do the next one. Don't think about how many you want to do a year down the line. I will contradict myself on that in the future, 100%. Hold me to it, whatever. Consistency really is the key. So with the channel, if I make one video, 10 videos, 100 videos, it doesn't matter. All I'm going to try and do is make this one and the next one, and then we'll see where it ends up. In terms of the content, obviously, it's the majority of it's going to be fitness based, whether it's just me talking about it, or if I get a bit more confidence to get out in the wider world with a camera in my hands, I'll try and take you out on some of the runs or activities that I do. A lot of it will just be feeding back and hopefully trying to engage people into either getting in touch with me and talking about what they're doing, or getting off the sofa and just moving a little bit more themselves. And all I'm trying to do is put myself out there a little bit to hopefully inspire one other person to get out there and do a similar thing to what I've done. If there's one thing that I've learned in my fitness journey, it's that consistency is key. Small wins, they do snowball, as I've said previously. Making small changes to your diet will result in, I don't know, £0.5 pound loss per week, whatever, and then before you know it, you've lost half a stone. But also, when you're on that journey, you do have to learn to adapt and learn from feedback, from data. Many of us, if you're on weight loss journeys, you'll probably be using apps like MyFitnessPal. If you're doing that and you're finding that you're not losing weight, I think quite a common thing to do is to look back over the week, see what you've eaten that's contributed a large amount of calories maybe to your intake. Can you tweak it? Can you substitute whatever that food item may be for something which is slightly less calorific? I'll take the same sort of approach with this video making. I'll look at the data, whatever YouTube gives you back. I don't know really. I've not really made a video before, but obviously if some videos are more popular than others, that will guide the video making further down the line. So I want to help give one person the inspiration to go out and move more if possible. I benefited from YouTube in a similar way from watching a guy called Mark Lewis. Many of you will probably be familiar with him already. He's got some really good content, doing lots of outrageous things. At the moment, where I am on my journey, I couldn't even dream of doing 100-kilometer runs and coast to coast cycling. Video that he did, or it's not a video, he did the event in real life. It's not about the videos, it's about actually going out there and doing it. He's doing those things. I'd love to get to that level. I'm not there yet, and that's where I feel I may have an advantage on someone like Mark Lewis, is that he got fit and then he started to make the videos. I'm halfway, if I'm lucky, into a journey of getting to some decent level of fitness, so I'm going to try and continue to document that, and then as I say, try and help if I help one other person to get out there and do a little bit of something in terms of movement, then I'll be really happy. And that is it really in terms of the aims at the moment for this channel. So what fitness activities do I do? I've done multiple things over the course of the past year. eventually anyway, once I developed a sort of small baseline of fitness and I felt like I was able to get out and put myself out there a little more, I tried to investigate sort of certain passions and things I enjoyed, and investigated and examined how I could incorporate them into my lifestyle, into my fitness journey. Because if you can do something you enjoy, then it makes it 100 times better. If you are the type of person that enjoys going to the gym and running 10 kilometres on the treadmill, staring at the wall in front of you, then good luck to you. For me, I couldn't imagine anything worse than just doing that day after day. Having said that, one of the things I really enjoyed growing up was football, the English version of football. So one of the first things that caught my eye was an advert on Facebook for man versus fat football. It just seemed like would probably be a comfortable environment, even though I was having to go by myself and take myself out of my comfort zone in that respect. I thought if I was joining up with a bunch of other guys who are overweight, then I wouldn't get shown up necessarily by a bunch of young like whippets basically who were like mini Ronaldinhos and would make me look ridiculous. So with that in mind, I signed up for Man vs Fat in Coventry, Goals, 87 Centre for those that know the area. It was okay from an administrative point of view. It's a case of just filling in the forms online, and they say they're going to assign you into a team. I'll go more into Man vs Fat probably in the future. I may make a specific video on that, but just to sort of briefly cover that, I got placed in a team that were rubbish. I joined and we got better. Not all me, obviously, although a large part of it was down to me. We ended up winning the weight loss league. We ended up winning the points league. It is competitive football. The people, yeah, I think this is quite specific to Coventry, but some of the people that were there got quite upset with the team that I was on, and we got accused of murder one week, which was when I thought it may be time to turn it in. For perspective, there may have been a mild shove in one match. I'm not sure that equals attempted murder necessarily, but it was ridiculous. That level of drama. Basically, one team that was the best ended up not being the best, and they got really upset. So I kind of at that point had lost a decent amount of weight and thought, I'm going to move on from this now. However, I would encourage anyone in a similar position to that I was at the time. You're an obese man, you want to just, or I don't know if women are allowed to play actually. If you're an obese person though, let's leave it at that, and you enjoy football and you're looking for some sort of activity, it's a good choice, it's a good option to just get out and do a little bit of running, get the heart rate up. Pretty much 100% of the people who turned up for the first time nearly killed themselves during the first match. It's like the Matrix, not making the first jump. You will nearly die on the first game. It's one of those things, you try and play like you used to be able to play, and you don't realise how far your levels of fitness have dropped. Just one of those things. But having said that, 3 or 4 weeks in, you're finding your level a little bit more in terms of your fitness. You're able to manage how much work you can put in during a game. You don't push yourself into that space where you feel like you may throw up, and you'll feel your fitness levels rise pretty rapidly. I did anyway, and I enjoyed it for that. And then I got a couple of medals as well, which was nice, which gave me a bit of a thirst for that, a bit of a taste for medals. So that was the initial thing. And then really, I think the biggest thing I'd done, without a doubt, I would say, is I went along to a park run on the 7th of January 2023 last year, Memorial Park in Coventry. And I'd never really been to anything like that before. I'd done cross country as a kid. I'd run the distances, but it was the sense, the feeling of like the community. That park run, 7th of January, 2023. I walked it in 52 minutes. I think it was something like that. I may have jogged 50 yards or something during the whole thing, but I was quite comfortable just walking it. There was the people there walking it. At no point did I feel like it was a race, fortunately. I would encourage anybody who is thinking about what they can do to get into some sort of routine of fitness to visit their local park run and just begin by walking it if that's what you feel like you can do and that's all you can do. It will not be frowned upon. It's not like the time when I went and played golf and I got moaned at by a bunch of old blokes because we were too slow. That doesn't happen there. All you will get is love and support. Literally, people supporting you as you're walking around your second lap. They've maybe finished in 20 minutes and they're making their way back to the car, but they will stop and give you a clap or keep going or etc. Just it's fantastic. I can't speak about it highly enough. There are 600 people who seem to think likewise in Coventry and turn up to that race, run rather, week in, week out, and there's a real reason for that. If you don't believe me, just get down there and check it out. Yeah, you don't have anything to lose with that. I really don't believe you do. Even if you can't do the full 5k, do what you can and then come back the next week and do a little bit more. The park run changed my life. Weird. Yeah, but that's how I feel about it. Following that, and obviously previously having mentioned a kind of enjoyment of football, once I'd built my baseline of fitness up and I realised that man versus fat football was ridiculous because of the attempted murder accusations, I just started playing football on a Monday night for 1 hour with friends from work, and I realised that would mean playing football with people who had much higher levels of fitness and whose weight was a lot lower than mine. Is that the phrase? Didn't weigh as much as me. Weren't obese, basically. I was going to play with people who were good at football and were reasonably fit, and that was a touch intimidating, but I felt like I'd worked my way up to just a level where it wouldn't be embarrassing. And because it was 1 hour a week, and unlike man versus fat, there weren't going to be roll on roll off substitutions. It was going to be more intense, and I was going to begin to have that snowball effect on my fitness where if I turned up to this every week, I was going to get fitter. I was going to build my fitness up, and in turn that might help me lose a little bit more weight. So I took the opportunity, and I started turning up for 1 hour on a Monday to football after work. Obviously it's with friends. There's no massive pressure on winning or losing any football matches there, so it keeps it light-hearted in that way. But again, as if you can find something you enjoy doing, it makes fitness and movement so much more easy to achieve. So whether you like playing basketball, netball, rugby, whatever, if you can find something, a club local to you that's taking on players, has a casual kind of session evening where it's like non-competitive in so much as it might not be playing in some sort of official league, then I definitely encourage anyone to go out and try and find that sort of session, because you're not going to put too much pressure on yourself. You're less likely to come under pressure from other people who may be involved in the team, and get yourself eased back into fitness, doing something you enjoy. That thing about goals that I said I was going to contradict myself about, that's now. So I booked an inflatable 5k because I wanted a nice medal and I wanted to achieve a thing, which would be just completing this inflatable 5k. So I guess that was a goal of sorts that I was working towards. There's no time, etc., and I just wanted to do something fun, but that would be a bit of a challenge and had a medal at the end of it. So I did that, and it was a Toaster race course. I think they do it every year in and around definitely in and around the Coventry area, whether it's Warwick, Stratford. I think there is one in Coventry this year. But that is kind of the next step up from just a normal 5k. The inflatable aspect sounds really fun, but it is absolutely torturous. It's so hard. Jumping over things and crawling under things tends to take the wind out of your lungs. So when you get to the sort of the flat ground and you want to do a bit of running, that is hard. So I would encourage people to check that out. It can be a little pricey, inflatable 5k. I think it might be cheaper if you're raising money for charity, so that might be one way you can do it. But having that event looming over you in front of you can also inspire you to do a bit of extra training. So I think sometimes having a goal of sorts in terms of having an event to complete can be a good idea, because it can just give you that extra incentive to go out and do some more movement to build up your fitness. The next thing I did in 2023, which was not something I really anticipated at the beginning of the year, was pursuing a kind of newfound interest of mine, which is American football, NFL. Obviously, I'm kind of past the point where I can strap the pads on and put the helmet on and start hitting people, but I noticed a advert for Nuneaton Jaguars flag football team for an adults training session. So I thought I'm going to go along to that, and I did go along to that. And I met a bunch of like-minded people who kind of enjoyed American football and kind of all at a similar age to me. The great thing about flag football is it's a mixed thing, so there were men and women there, all sort of playing in the same team. It was pretty calm, it was very relaxed, a lot of fun. Most people were complete beginners, so being absolutely rubbish at it wasn't off-putting as such, and it's been quite fun to develop some new skills, but it's been an absolute blast. I've got myself a number 54 Nuneaton Jags adult flag jersey, which I wear with pride, repping Bobby Wagner of the Seattle Seahawks. We did multiple training sessions in the end. For those of you that don't know flag football, you may know about American football, and most people kind of talk about the stop-start nature of it, and that tends to be why they don't like it. However, when you're training for that stop-start aspect of repeatedly lining up and then basically sprinting for 20 metres, before you know it becomes some sort of like sprinting reps. So you kind of accidentally doing a really beneficial fitness activity, and again it feeds into that thing of where I was saying previously, if you can find something that you enjoy, get involved in that, and then the movement becomes just an enjoyable part of what you're doing, and you're working out and with a smile on your face, and that's a really good thing to do. That's exactly what flag football has done for me. We did, as I said, we did multiple training sessions, and it culminated in a one-day tournament at Loughborough College, I think it was, where we played our first ever games, and we won a game. We won our first ever game. How crazy is that? Bunch of ragtag oldies, a few youngies in there, but we trained for this thing, and it was a ridiculously satisfying payoff in the end to be able to go out there and win a game. We got absolutely smashed in one of them as well by the Coventry Panthers. You know who you are. Well done. Hope you enjoyed it. But it's been a fantastic journey, and I'll be going back to training imminently with the Nuneaton Jags. In fact, I did a little workout last week to help one of the coaches achieve a couple of the players achieve a coaching qualification. So that'll be something I'm going to continue with. I only ever got into that because of the confidence that I gained from doing the other things up to that point. And the biggest thing I gained from that is realising that you can just go and do a thing with random people and make some new friends and enjoy yourself and run around and lose a bit of weight. In terms of the booking events, I also booked onto a half marathon, having walked a park run in January. I immediately jumped to thinking, yeah, I can do a half marathon. That isn't what happened. I went back to a few park runs. I began to walk them and run a little bit, and then I'd go back the next week and I'd run a bit more, and then I'd run a bit more, and then by April I was able to jog a 5k. My time for that was probably around 35 minutes. I'll try and pop it on the screen or something if I can, editing, etc. But when it got to April, I looked ahead to sort of November to see what was coming up, and I thought a half marathon is a long way. Let's give that a shot. I won another medal, so I booked onto a half marathon around Draycott Water, which eventually got cancelled. So I began training for that, doing a lot of the training runs. And then when it got cancelled, may have been around September time, I built up a decent level of fitness, and I was going over 10k at that point. I was able to run over 10k. So I thought, do you know what, I'm just going to go for a half marathon. I'm going to open my door and run to Kenilworth, which, if you're not familiar with Kenilworth, it's where Blanche from Coronation Street lived before she returned to Weatherfield. Everyone knows that, obviously. But yeah, I opened my door, I ran to Kenilworth and back, which was around 13.5 miles. So I say I ran to Kenilworth and back. I ran to Kenilworth. I was okay with the first 7 miles ish, and then I kind of walked back from Kenilworth to Coventry. So that's 6.5 miles. I walked back, and then the last couple miles, I really just dragged myself across the tarmac until I got to the front door. And I managed to do it in just under 3 hours. I think it was 2 hours 53. Again, I'll see if I can pop a time up that side. But that was massive for me, just being able to finish it. Whenever I go for a run, still number one priority and number one aim is just to finish whatever I'm trying to achieve. It's a park run, cover the 5k. I don't care if I've walked some of it or I've ran all of it in a record time. If I've finished it, then I've succeeded in what I went out the door to do. And that's the important thing. So finishing that half marathon, but under a time of 3 hours, which is the cut-off point for a lot of timed runs, because they have to close the roads and stuff like that. That was satisfying. So I've got the rearranged half marathon at Draycott is coming up for me in April. I'm currently in the middle of the training for that. So my running distances on a monthly basis have increased a lot. In January so far, I've ran 49 miles, I think, almost 50 miles. Previously, my best monthly total was 33 miles, so I'm increasing it quite a lot, and I'm just about to go out training now. I told you I was training. Told you. So at the moment, my focus in terms of fitness building, losing weight, etc., the way that I'm achieving that is running. I'm also trying to mix in some strength training now. That was one of my, I'm going to contradict myself again on that thing. One of the goals I set was to try and, for this year, was to try and mix in some strength workouts just at home, some dumbbell workouts, maybe 3 per week if I could find the time. It's difficult with the running. I'm running sort of 4 times a week, and it's building up to almost an hour a day the majority of the time now, so it can be hard to then fit in a dumbbell workout. However, I do want to add that bit of muscle to my body. In terms of the current level of fitness, as I said, over the last year or so, I've lost around 3 stone. I think it's important to say that I'm still an obese man. I don't shy away from that. I don't want to be obese. I want to get to a level, a fitness level, and a weight that is healthy, essentially. But I kind of have an idea in my head of where that might be. But I'm just going to continue doing what I've been doing to try and get there. But I do want to make it clear that as someone that's obese and has been regularly running for the last year or so, it's possible. Don't tell yourself this. If you're also in that category, don't tell yourself it's not possible to go out there and do some fitness work, because it definitely is, and there is no guarantee that you're going to go out and get injured because of your weight. Maybe the risk is probably increased. As I said, I'm not a doctor. Don't listen to me. Go and ask your doctor. But you can do it. I'm going to move on to a section that I'm going to call.
You don't want to see me in my underpants.
But I'm going to show me in my underpants, just as a sort of, again, a progress marker for myself, and to keep myself honest with you guys, with YouTube, just so I can show you that I'm not I'm going to call myself a fitness YouTuber, but this is what I look like at the moment, and but I still think that I'm a fitness YouTuber. I'm making videos after all. Just to cover the obese runner thing a little bit more on injuries. As a man of like 17 stone, I can comfortably run 10k, and I don't feel like I'm picking up any injuries when I get back the day after. I'm usually good to go for a bit more of a run if I want. I might keep it lighter, but you can, as a heavier person, go out there and run, or get involved in any activity that you want to do, and yeah, you'll be slower, but don't think you're going to go out there and get immediately injured, because my lived experience is that's not the case. I haven't had any major injuries over the past year, and then I've done quite a lot of things now, the football, the running, the flag football. I've never felt the need to even consult the doctor, really. I probably should have done before I embarked on the journey. That's the only thing I would probably say was a mistake. If anyone else out there is about to go on this journey, and you're of a certain age as well, maybe like you're approaching 40 like me, go and see your doctor and just say, like, I'm planning to increase my activity level quite considerably. Is it okay? Will I be okay? Sort of thing. In terms of the injuries, like I said, no major injuries. However, any runner is going to, if you're running long distance, you are going to get some sort of chafing in multiple areas, but the usual ones will occur. So I've recently just invested in something called Body Glide. I'm going to do that thing where I'm going to hold it up to the camera now. Did you get that? It cost 15 quid. Seems expensive for something that is kind of Vaseline-like. However, it did seem to be the one that was recommended by people on the internet, and then people on the internet know what they're talking about, right? However, in all seriousness, I've used that thing a few times now when I've gone on the longer runs, and I've not had any problems with chafing, which has been nice to be able to come back and relax in comfort. So I do recommend that as a product, actually, Body Glide. Body Glide, if you're out there, send me some free stuff. I've got 0 viewers and no subscribers, but you know, I've shouted you out. So yeah, finally, please like and subscribe. Promise that I'll try and get some better equipment if these videos take off and people have any interest. Lighting probably initially would be the thing to invest in. However, yeah, if you could like, subscribe, share the channel, share the video, that would help an awful lot. With the channel, I'm just going to try and be consistent, give you the content you want, and document my journey and inspire others.